Hey everyone, welcome back. So let's say you have bought a sketchbook for the very first time and you don't know what to put in it. You have a faint idea, but you're kind of scared to put the lines down. Well, if you've seen my previous videos where I scribble a lot and I emphasize the importance of thumbnailing, we're going to do that again, but those of you that are brand new to drawing, you can actually watch my thought process unfold, as I'm recording this. Now, there's many themes that I cover. For example, creatures, concept art for games, concept art for film, and just flat out drawing for fun. Now, even if you're not an artist or you are a seasoned artist, you should be drawing for fun anyway. But the point of drawing a sketchbook is to not only get better at art, but enjoy what you've actually put down on paper. So I want you, if you're brand new to it, to just start throwing lines down without caring too much about what's going to happen with each individual line. It doesn't really matter your skill level at all. Now, your line work itself might not look very good. Okay, you see images of other artists and their shading is beautiful, or their line weight and line quality are top-notch. Hey, that's okay. Just don't dwell too long on comparing yourself to those artists. If you compare yourself too much, what's going to happen is you'll fall into the trap of just doing work that they do, okay, instead of creating your own voice, your own unique voice, which actually, is finding your own style. I did a whole video on finding your own art style, and I think it would be important if you're a new artist to check that video out. And the thing about finding a style and about doing a sketchbook for the very first time is that if you just let the shapes fall where they may, it's usually much easier in developing something that you actually are going to fall in love with later. So let's face it, what we draw isn't always going to be pretty. Let's just say it. All right, it doesn't matter how many years you've been drawing. There's some stuff that I've done even over the past month, and I'm going, nope, I don't want to look at that again. Now, do I consider them a failure? No, not at all. They're probably going to be sketches that I come back to at a later time that I can finesse and turn into something cool. Like this right here, it's a bubbly shape. It kind of looked like a robotic turtle almost, a little alien. I'll darken these eyeballs up so you can see them. Now let's give it a little beak. Now I'm coming at this from the angle of a creature designer, of course, because that's my trade, that's what I do. But let's say those of you have bought a sketchbook for the very first time and you don't know what to put in it because you don't know what you're going to be good at. You don't know what you want to study. You don't even know how to start. I suggest, starting with cubes, cones, cylinders, and spheres because, that's the foundational side of drawing. But let's just say you want to doodle one day. And that's typically the most fun you're going to have sketching anyway. It's just doodling. Just take your pencil, take your pen, and loosen your grip up. I'm not grabbing this very hard. I'm just grabbing it towards the very end of it. By the way, on a side note, this is a Bic stick. That's all it is, a round stick. Okay, ballpoint. I typically draw with the Bic Ultra Round Stick Grip, which is a little bit softer on the side. But for the most part, Bic makes amazing pens. And you should definitely purchase some. They're pretty cheap. Alright, I'm having a lot of fun with this little guy. So, comment below if you're drawing for the very first time, or if the YouTube algorithm brought you to my channel and you have no idea how the heck you ended up here. If that's the case, I want to officially welcome you, and maybe, hey, you could draw for the very first time too. I like to teach people that feel like they're never going to be good. They're never going to. If you're one of those folks please do yourself a favor and scrap that mindset. Start anew. Buy that sketchbook. It doesn't have to be fancy. I'm sketching on moleskin, which is a little pricier. That's just my personal preference. You can sketch on a napkin. You can sketch on the back of cardboard. Like, it doesn't matter. The point is getting used to the actual physical act of drawing. And once you start doing that, once you start building up the mental toughness of doing it, maybe every day, maybe every other day, hopefully you're going to start to see some progress to the point where you're going to want to do it more and more and more. Now, we all have lives too. You know, like, so let's say you just happen to go to Walgreens or CVS or your art store, and you'd be like, you know what? I bought my first sketchbook. I don't know where to start, so I'm just going to have it sit in my room for 4 months, and I'm not going to touch it. But every time I go into my room, I'm going to look over there and go, you know what? I should draw. That's when you know you should start. Okay, I'm just having a lot of fun here. Just doodling away. You know, I kind of broke my own rule here. Anytime that I put a shadow in, especially with pen, and the hatch marks are going in a certain direction, if I lift up my pen and put shadow anywhere else on the body or the subject matter, it should go the same direction, and I totally did not do that. So let's see if I can get rid of it or help it out. I mean, it's good enough. It's not hurting anything. I'm seeing a lot of potential with these shapes. It's very mechanical. So I think I'm going to need to put a better overall stance on this critter. It does look rather mechanical, but there's still some organic liveliness about this whole thing. That whenever well, here, let me rephrase that. When I was first starting out in concept art, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to do machines because my background is industrial design for schooling, characters obviously, but also weapons, props, environments, which I was absolutely awful at. That's the thing, people don't know that they're bad at something, and when people tell them that they're bad at something, our stubbornness overtakes us and go, no, I'm not that bad at it. Nobody's teaching me correctly. And in some cases that actually is true. But I'm going to dedicate a whole video probably in the near future where I just talk about our education system and how a lot of art schools are failing their students. But that's besides the point. Hey, if you're an art student and you feel like your school's failing you, comment below. Tell me why. Tell me why. Maybe I can help you out. Those of you that know me, I draw a lot with my pencil. Whenever I do pen, there's just this really nice feeling I get where I know I can remain simple. And I put in some shading, which is one directional hatching. So one directional is just the shading at an angle, and then cross hatching you've probably heard before, where you cross hatch and it makes it look like a fence, or the fence texture. I've spent a lot of time on that. Let's move over. And while I move over, why don't we put a little fella right there, just like a simple little person with a little sword, standing there going, hey, what's up? You know, that's the scale of a little dude about to fight the big boss. So we got to add in some ground here. We're gonna make a little scene. Make a little scene with me. A happy little scene. Okay, there's the ground. Maybe put some small pebbles. Okay, if you know, the whole point of this video is to draw in a sketchbook for the very first time and what to do. So we start doodling some critters and characters. Oh, that's the other thing. This is what I've noticed, and this is what I've noticed for mentoring people and teaching them for over a decade. If they come to me wanting to become a better artist, there are plenty of subject matters to want to get better at. Vehicles, props, weapons, creatures, characters, environments, armor, everything. And it's always like, I just want to draw a really cool creature. It's always a creature. It warms my heart. There's just this freedom that we get from drawing monsters. I don't know what it is. We just like the monsters, don't we? Comment below if you agree with me. You're always drawing monsters, but let's say weapons are your favorite things to draw. But whenever you're practicing, it's always monsters. Crazy. Okay, well, let's go on here to sketch number 2. So if you've been watching me so far for the past 10 minutes draw this little critter, and you haven't drawn anything yet, take your pen, take your pencil. And what I want you to do is I want you to lightly put some random lines into your paper, or onto your paper, and stop. Now, you're not going to be able to see them very well, and there's a reason for that. It's because we're going to build up the layers on those so that you can learn how to build the sketch up from scratch so that the details can come later instead of jumping into details right away. All right, now, the shapes that you draw most likely will be out of your comfort zone. Okay, we don't want to do something that is within your comfort zone because you're going to fall into bad habits again. Now, one thing that I'm noticing when I'm doing this is this shape that I'm doing is very almost floral. It looks like a hot air balloon, but a hot air balloon with legs, and it looks like a plant, and it looks like a jellyfish, all rolled into one. So now what I'm doing is I'm lightly pressing across this shape to see what lines are intersecting and if there's any interest coming out of this. Okay, now once I do that, I naturally push harder with my pen in certain parts. It just happens naturally as you're drawing because you're adjusting the width of the sketch itself, and you're gripping your pen or your pencil differently depending on how far you have to stretch your hand out. Once you do this, I don't want you to lift your hand. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Don't lift your hand, leave it on the paper. And once you do this, start to scribble lines back and forth. And then stop and check it out. Now, if there are places within the drawing that lines are overlapping and it's getting darker than the other spots, see if there's a shape that can emerge from those darker lines. I kind of already see one. So right here, you might be able to see this. This looks like the underbelly of something. So that's going to be the underbelly of the creature. Over here, it almost looks like a very, very big leg, kind of like a chicken wing almost. Okay, I'm going to keep that shape, and I'm just going to outline it to where it looks like a thigh, and then it looks like it's touching ground somewhere over there. So I'm just going to darken up the place where it's touching. This is very bulbous, so I think I drew the other half of the leg over here, but the shape is different. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to have to fatten up the back of this leg. There we go. Okay. You see how I played off that shape? All right, those of you that can see it, I'm just going to darken it a little bit. It kind of looks like those seeds that fall from trees, the helicopter seeds. Those of you that live in the United States and other parts of the world, you know exactly what I'm talking about, those seeds that fall out of the tree and they look like helicopters. I love watching those fall. Okay, so now we got a shape that kind of looks like an onion. That's exactly what this is. Okay, so at the bottom of this, we'll put some tentacles out. See how light everything is? There's no detail whatsoever. It's just a bunch of intersecting lines. However, those of you that know my method of doing thumbnails, when you see a bunch of overlapping shapes, time and time again, and they keep overlapping and overlapping and overlapping, not only does that form a cool looking texture, you're going to start to see shapes emerge in there that could be anatomy. And I saw one in this leg right here. It was very cool. It's almost biomechanoid. So I think I'm just going to use that to my advantage. Okay, so since this big leg is closest to us, I'm going to outline the bottom of it just slightly darker than any other part. Why outline the bottom of it a little darker? Well, it's because it symbolizes where the shadow is going to be without me having to shade in the shadow. That's why I do it. Now this leg doesn't look very balanced, so I think I'm going to spread out an extra appendage. And here's where it gets gnarly, so I can get pretty organic. I've already established the shape of that, so it's pretty cool. we still need to figure out what to do for the front here, and I think I have an answer. I'm going to put a bunch of crazy sharp teeth poking out, and then one for the bottom, and it's like a giant walking mouth. Let's do that. I always thought it would be cool if plants just evolved to the point where they're attached inside the ground due to roots, and then they form into monsters and they grow from that as they come out. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, so this is an okay design, but I'm not disappointed. I'm nothing. It's just it came out like this, the shapes that happened. So I'm going to see if I can repeat some of these shapes throughout the rest of the body. See if I can get some neat proportions. There we go. I think that looks better now that I kind of brought those weird termite mound shapes out here to the front. Now, since I'm bringing them out to the front, what do I have to do? I'm going to bring a little bit more attention to the ones that are closest to us, because not only are they closest to us, you're going to see more details on those anyway. And then I'm just going to color in some black with my pen right inside the mouth, but not too much, just enough to show the separation of the top and bottom jaw. Okay. This is very wild looking. And what's neat about this is I didn't have to worry about going in here and putting in every single little scale or anything that would take up too much time to do. I'm just letting the crisscrossing actions of my pen dictate where the details are going to go. And I'm noticing now that I think I need to make those termite mounds, I'm going to call them termite mounds because I don't know what else to call them, come out at us to give a little bit of a 3D effect. Uh-oh, we got a neighbor dog barking. Might have to stop the video, unless you guys want to hear a dog barking. There we go. Maybe the whole thing is covered with these strange skin protrusions. Ooh, man. What if those are little eyes? This thing has really evolved. And to think, it kind of started off looking like a plant, looking like an onion. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But it's kind of fun. So these thumbnails are a little bit more thought out. It's a little bit more experimenting. But I think we're getting somewhere. And notice how I'm drawing not just thumbnails for creatures, but I'm trying to create a scene. So if you're buying a sketchbook for the first time, you're opening it up and you don't know what to put in here, think of your subject matter as something that belongs to a story. Okay, it's always good to tell a story with your creations instead of just doing random stuff. Especially those of you that are looking for jobs, not just within the industry, but let's say you just want freelance jobs, trying to get anybody that'll pay you money to produce something awesome. Tell a story with your work. This way, we're looking at the scene right now and going, hey, this little soldier happened to walk into what appears to be land where multiple giant monsters live, but they're not aggressive towards it. This creature over here is kind of curious about that little warrior. Notice how it dipped down its head, and maybe it's raising its arm because it is curious, but it's not charging him. And then this warrior right here, let's put in a little, maybe like a little hood, so we'll thicken up the neck. Okay, maybe a little backpack on. They're traveling. Okay, you got it. I don't want it to be dude with a spear or dude with a staff, just because we've seen that 7,928 times. Okay, so these little things may come out due to territorial warning. I scoot this in a little bit. Okay, and then what I want to do now, let's add some color to this, and I think that'll be really fun. So, okay, I grabbed some more colorful markers here from Ho2, and I think I'm going to just place in some earth tones because I want this creature to seem like it's coming from the planet itself. It lives in a jungle, so I want the colors on it to reflect that. It's nothing too bright, but I think I might put in some brighter colors here in a second. So the reason why I'm putting these markers on top of the pen is because pen looks a little better when you mix the marker in with it. Now typically what I'll do is I'll put in gray first and then I'll put marker down or pen on top of it. But in this instance I'm just being very sparing with it, and I think it'll work out well. So the other thing is this critter up here needs an accent color, and a brighter color, something orangish, I think will look good. So let's just pretend that this creature lives in a tropical climate. You know, I get a lot of my influence from tropical insects and such. We're going to leave the beak white, and then we'll put some on this appendage up here, and then some more orange up here, and then maybe like one little hint on the hands, or the feet, I guess. So the big one's in the back. I actually don't want to forget drawing the big one in the back. I got to find my pen. There we go. Oh, wait, no, I already drew it. It was just he was spreading his leg out. There we go. Okay, that's kind of cool. Next thing is, why don't we just do a gray? I don't know how that's going to look, so maybe that can be a shadow. Yeah, this is beautiful. Kind of has a purplish vibe to it. So let's do that. So it'll just be a thick cast shadow. Okay, and maybe some cast shadows up here on those strange little eyes. Okay, we got that just on the hand there, and then down here on that arm. And then from there, we could also get bright with this one, but we're not going to use orange. Instead, we're going to go hot pink because we can. All right, hot pink creature. There it is, and then maybe the crazy eye stalks or termite mounds can also be pink. And I'm just going to hint at that. I'm not going to go overboard in the back. I don't want to do that. But we're going to need to counteract this hot pink with something cool. So I don't want to go overboard with another strong marker. I'm going to pick a very, very light gray / peach. It's still a warm color, but I think it's not going to, yeah, that might be a little too much for the pen around there, so I think I'm just going to use that very, very sparingly. And a little on the hand. Okay, we got that. Now, that could be the eyeball right there, but we don't know. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed today's lesson. We'll watch little Mitchell here meet these big critters in a land because he's, you know, just surveying the land, wondering what's going on. Comment below, say hi to Mitchell. You can name the creatures too. Here's number 1, here's number 2. No, they're not named number 1, number 2. They could be brothers, they could be cousins, sisters, I don't know. But I'm just going to touch this up here as I wrap up the video. So if you check the links in the description, you're going to see a link for creature design for film and games that I teach. I'm currently teaching the winter term, but if you would like to sign up for the spring term, you are more than welcome to. There's plenty of time. Spring doesn't start till April for our school. And I go through 8 weeks teaching you about the fundamentals of creature design. We do reference gathering, we do bone structure, anatomy, functional features. We really flesh out the creatures that you are inventing. Now, the other thing I want to point out is our awesome Discord. It is a bustling community. We hit 6,000 members. This community is for all skill levels, not just industry veterans where you can draw like nobody's business. No, it's for everybody. We do monthly creature design challenges based on a brief that I give. We have a voting system where it's just for bragging rights, just for fun. You don't win money. You don't win anything other than, hey, I designed this really awesome thing, and then we post it. And then the other thing that I want to mention is I run a private mentorship. I take in all skill levels. So if you're wondering about if you're good enough to actually take a mentorship, that's backwards thinking. You take a mentorship because you want to get better at something. Always remember that. All right, so if you want to get better at the fundamentals of sketching, fundamentals of drawing in general, like cubes, cones, cylinders, and spheres, value, line weight, line quality. We're going to start you off in the right way so that you don't form bad habits and you're drawing for 10 years and you're wondering why your drawings have not improved. Okay, and then we have more in-depth lessons too. It's all based on what you tell me you want to get better at. All right, so email me at bobbyrebholtz@gmail.com for more information. You can also find it on our Discord. Okay, so if this was your first sketchbook go around, hopefully this helped you. Let me know how it went. Let me know if you're still staring at blank paper. That's totally okay. Until next time, peace.